Back on Get Up with breaking news just into our newsroom. The head of the organizing committee for the Tokyo Olympics has not ruled out a last-minute cancellation of the games. Opening ceremonies are Friday. There are actually events that begin tonight. All of this is due to a spike in COVID cases in Japan, including 71 positive tests within the athletes' village. The Olympics, of course, were postponed last year because of the pandemic. This year, they are scheduled to be held without spectators. As any further developments come, obviously, we will bring them to you immediately. In the meantime, back to the finals.
These two teams have waited so long for a championship.
Keep enjoying the game, keep playing good basketball.
Now we're coming back home and we got to protect home court. And this is the finals. It's dramatic.
Middleton three-pointer. It's good! More Middleton magic. Booker fires a three. Bang! Devin Booker from downtown. Knocked away and stolen by Holiday. And a pinnacle ball throws it down. What a turnaround.
We know what the deal is. It's one game away from being the NBA champ, but the job is not done.
All right, so Chris Paul started this series strong, averaging 27.5 points a game in the first two. He has certainly cooled off since then, averaging under 17 points in games 3 through 5. And yesterday, our very own Big Perk weighed in on the struggles of CP3.
CP3 needs CPR. He has to wake the hell up. And I'm not talking about from a number standpoint, right? I'm talking about him as being a leader, bringing that tenacity. We already know in his sleep he could get you 20 and 10, but I haven't seen the same sense of urgency. And when you look at CP3, you talk about these young Phoenix Suns and their core of this group, they follow CP3. We heard DeAndre Ayton say the best thing happened for his career was CP3 coming to Phoenix because he put that dog into him. He installed that killer mentality. And right now, CP3 is not showing us that he's a killer.
All right, so that was Big Perk, who will join us live later. Zach Lowe is back, and RJ, we got the signal working from his hotel in Milwaukee. So, Richard, I've been trying to sort of come to terms for the last week with exactly how we should be describing the performance of Chris Paul and what criticism seems right. What's the right thing to say about Chris Paul right now?
Well, everyone knows that winning a championship is extremely hard. I think what we're starting to see here with Chris Paul is that what he did over the first 3 rounds is what they need. They need him to sustain that. They were up 2-0. Mind you, one of those games was without Giannis. Giannis was coming back and he wasn't 100% himself yet. But ultimately, if the Phoenix Suns are going to win this, they need game 1 and 2 Chris Paul. As you've seen a decline, he actually had a decline before last game. For 5 straight games, his numbers progressively went down. That is not how you win a championship. Your numbers have to progressively increase, as are your teammates need to increase also, as you've seen with the Milwaukee Bucks.
You know, Zach Lowe, I was thinking about it this way. Chris Paul and LeBron James are the best of friends. We saw LeBron attended Game 5 to support him. They're also the same age. They're both 36. If LeBron was playing this way, I can only imagine what the conversation would be. Should it be the same for CP3?
Well, the difference is LeBron is either the greatest or the second greatest player of all time, and he's 6'8". Chris Paul is 36 and 6 feet tall on a good day. And by the way, look, Perk can have his take. I've never associated Chris Paul with a lack of tenacity or fight, and the numbers do matter. 21 and 11 with 1 turnover on 9 of 15 shooting. I think you'd probably take that from Chris Paul. To me, what Perk is getting at is this stat, and this is the defining stat of the series. When Chris Paul is on the floor without Devin Booker, the Suns are minus 37 in 40 minutes, a point a minute. They are absolutely getting slaughtered in those minutes, and that's when Chris Paul, by hook or by crook, has to find a way to create better shots for himself or his teammates. Either that or Devin Booker is going to have to play the whole game, because those are the minutes when the Suns are losing this series. Those are the minutes when they lost Game 5, and those are the minutes where you look to Chris Paul and say, do you have another gear? And in the last 3 games, he has not had another gear for those minutes.
So, Richard, it is tilted so strongly in favor of Milwaukee here and now. They have home court advantage and a chance to win the championship. Give me the one thing that Phoenix absolutely has to do tonight to force a Game 7.
First of all, I'm just going to marvel at the stat that Zach Lowe just gave America, that is why the Phoenix Suns are struggling. The minute Devin Booker goes out the game, it is tragic. And you're thinking Chris Paul as the MVP candidate. He was the guy that was voted as an all-star. The one thing that the Phoenix Suns need to do, in my opinion, I think they need to get contributions. If you're going to start looking at Chris Paul and say, hey, what we get is what we get from our star right now for whatever reason. You need Mikal Bridges. You need Jay Crowder to come up and give you a 7 for 8 from 3 game like he did earlier in the series. You're going to need DeAndre Ayton to have an impactful 25 and 15. You need players playing at their best when their best is needed. And everyone on the Phoenix Suns have not been doing that over the past few games.
All right, guys, stay with me here. Much more as we go on the NBA Finals tonight from Milwaukee. We will have Jalen. It has been for the home team. The Suns took the first 2 games of these finals with Devin Booker and CP3 combining for 113 points, the most by starting guards through the first 2 games in a finals since that was cracked 50 years ago. But then the Bucks became the 8th team to fight back after trailing 2-0. Game 4 capped, of course, by the legendary Giannis block on DeAndre Ayton. Then the closing seconds of Game 5, the stellar defense from Jrue Holiday leading to the alley-oop heard round the world. The Bucks' big 3 combining for 88 points, and that is where we stand as the Bucks come home now with a chance to clinch the championship. Let's hear from those getting ready to go.
You can feel the excitement in the city, and last time we were in the NBA Finals was 1974. And it's been a while, so I'm happy that the fans are enjoying it. There's 20,000 people in the arena, 25,000 people outside the arena. But we gotta focus. We gotta do our job, and then they can do their job celebrating at the end. But we gotta do our job first.
That's right. You got to get there before you can get to the celebration. Zach Lowe gets up with us early this morning. Richard Jefferson will join us in a moment live from Milwaukee. But Zach, let's get into it deeply here. There have been a lot of adjustments that we've seen, but by the time you get to a Game 6, those tend to be few and far between. What specifically do the Bucks need to do tonight to win the championship on their home floor?
Just keep doing what you're doing. Every trend in this series has gone gradually and methodically toward Milwaukee. Keep winning the possession battle. Pound the offensive glass. Take care of the ball. Have Jrue Holiday hound Chris Paul all over the floor to win the turnover battle. And on defense, just keep scrunching the Suns toward the mid-range. They're not getting any corner threes. They're not getting anything at the rim. They're not getting free throws. And as good as Devin Booker and Chris Paul are from the mid-range, and they are spectacular, the math is just overwhelming for Milwaukee. The Suns need to have outrageous shooting nights to have any chance to win. And if Milwaukee at home comes out and plays its game, gets its usual 32 and 15 from Giannis, which is insane to say. That's just roll it out, 32 and 15 from Giannis, and gets a good game from Middleton and a good game from Holiday, this series should be over.
Let me go to RJ, who I'm told we do have now ready to go live from Milwaukee. There he is, Richard Jefferson, if he can hear me. He may be frozen in that position. I'm waiting to see. No, he's not moving. So my guess is that his camera has frozen. And Zach, I will come back to you. This is the reality of doing live TV in 2021. Zach, let me come back to you. On the other side, and I just ran through it as I set up the conversation. The Suns had a 2-0 lead and looked in really good shape. Now they've dropped 3 straight. What is one thing they can do tonight to force a Game 7?
I think they started to do it in Game 5. And by the way, great fourth quarter effort by the Suns. That was a championship fourth quarter, even though they couldn't get over the hump. But part of it is get going faster on offense. They tried to run off misses, and the Bucks gave up some turnovers early. Just get into your stuff early. Set the first pick with 19 or 20 on the shot clock with the Bucks backpedaling. Don't let them set their defense. Whenever they do that, they have a better chance of getting some of those good looks that they're just not getting when Milwaukee can really dig in and set its vice grip defense on them. So that's just one thing.
And then let me ask you one more quick thing before we run here, and we'll get RJ a little later in the hours. We're having some technical problems with him. But Chris Paul is a first ballot Hall of Famer, for certain, and there's no debate of that, regardless of what happens tonight. But he has been struggling. Is it reasonable to say there is an enormous amount of pressure on him to play a big game tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's pressure on everybody on the Suns, not just Chris Paul, who, by the way, had 21 and 11 in Game 5, and everyone acted like he played some kind of stinker. And I don't think he's 100% healthy, but no one's 100% healthy at this time. He had a big fourth quarter, but for sure, there's pressure on Chris Paul to deny it and say this doesn't matter. He's proven his legacy, all that. Sure, he's proven his legacy, but he's 36 years old. He was up 2-0 in the finals. His team was up 2-0 in the finals. It's not just Chris Paul, it's the Suns. But you're not guaranteed at this age any other chances this close at the ring. So, yeah, of course there's pressure.
Be interesting to watch what happens. Again, Zach Lowe, stay close. We'll get you back, and we'll get RJ going a little bit later in the hour here. So stick with us. In the meantime, let's